Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Of course, we'll look at the market with the Market Watch stocks we're paying attention to today, and a lot of trade news here coming out as the president is over in Asia. And some good news means maybe the market is up. Let's get into that with the Market Watch. And that's exactly what's happening here today. Everything except for the Russell 2K is on the good side of things, the green side, and a lot of it has to do with President Trump and with the China specifically trade talks. Some information out there regarding that here today. Of course, the Canadian side as well, but the Dow Jones is up 223 points right now to 47,427. For it, then you've got S&P 500 up 70 points to 6861. For the S&P 500, the Nasdaq's up 401 points, 23,606. The small cap index there, the Russell 2K, the one still back a little bit as of right now. It is down 18 points here today to 2520 for that. Bitcoin, well, down today at least, or excuse me, up today at least, 1,205. Was up a little bit higher earlier, but over the weekend went from that 110, 111,000 it's been trading at. It's up at 115,739 as of right now. And I mean, it's been a busy news day as we've been sitting here watching all the news and things that happen out there. Stocks we're paying attention to. Well, big movements here today, this week. The Fed actually meets this week as well, but then we got Amazon, Alphabet, Apple, Meta Platforms, Microsoft. They're all set to release their third quarter results this week. So big week around the markets. That's why you'll tune in here to McCollum on Business, and we will keep you updated out there. Right now coming out, iRobot, their stock has dropped 30% here as the day has gone on. Roomba maker warns the search for a buyer has stalled. Nobody wants to buy that company, so their stock is way down as the day has gone on. That's not one of the stocks we're paying attention to because this has happened here in the last hour or so after we got the show ready. Don't forget, back in March, iRobot did warn that there's substantial doubt, is the wording they used back in March, about its ability to stay in business. That's why they need somebody to buy them out there. And by the way, the company that abandoned their look into buying them was Amazon. Yes, Amazon abandoned that planned acquisition of iRobot back in 2024. They haven't found anybody since then as well. So, yeah. So, iRobot, in trouble. If you have a Roomba, well, might take care of it. You might not be able to find parts for it here coming up. That is breaking right now. Other stocks that we are paying attention to today, while we're waiting for that magnificent 7 stocks to report this week and the Feds to say, excuse me, sneeze came out of nowhere. Qualcomm is the first stock we're going to look at here today. 12.18% up right now for Qualcomm. They soared more than 11% in early market trading, up at that 12.17 right now. Well, they actually announced their artificial intelligence processors that they're making, and they're going to compete with AMD and NVIDIA specifically. This is a big move here for Qualcomm. Qualcomm has previously only worked on semiconductors for wireless connectivity and mobile devices. They haven't even looked at massive data centers before. So this is a big shift for Qualcomm. And they say it's going to compete with AMD and NVIDIA as well. So 12.25% up based off of that news for Qualcomm. And next up, hey, let's just look at them. NVIDIA is the stock we're going to look at. 2.62% up right now for them. Don't forget, they are the leading AI chip maker. So obviously for Qualcomm to put them in their view is putting the best into their view at that point from that side. But NVIDIA is up today because of Secretary of Treasury Bessent and, of course, President Trump. And then President Xi as well. We got that story coming up for you. But they've all said that they're about to reach that deal to avoid the new 100% U.S. tariff on Chinese goods. They said that the framework is there. We have that story coming up for you. So NVIDIA is up today because it looks like a deal is going to be there in the Chinese-U.S. negotiations. A lot of stocks are up today based off of that news. And next up, we'll look at Lululemon Athletica. They make most of their stuff in Vietnam and those countries. not necessarily China, but they're in the news for other reasons. They're 2.35% up today. Well, they said they're going to partner with the National Football League, the NFL, and Fanatics. And what are they going to do? Well, they've reached an apparel collection, is what they're going to launch. They reached a deal for this, specifically for NFL teams. So now you can wear your favorite Lululemon clothing with an NFL logo on it. Coming up here, they're up 2.39% based off of that news today. Later on, when we come back and look at stocks here with the Market Watch, well, we're going to look into the gold miners out there. Gold's on the move as well today. So we'll look at those gold miners, specifically Newmont and Helka Mining. And then we'll take our, what's been a weekly here. Last week we looked at them 3 times. We'll do another update here on Beyond Meat. Just check in with that stock. It tripled. It quadrupled last week in terms of its pricing. We'll take a look at it here on this Monday. Is it still going up? Is it going down here? Is the sell-off occurring there on Beyond Meat? We'll take a look at that coming up. But first, let's get into kind of the top stories here after the weekend. And the first one we're going to talk about is not China in the tariffs. Let's talk a little bit about the Canadian goods, because President Trump on Saturday said that he plans to hike tariffs on imports of Canadian goods by 10%. I can tell you he planned on it then, and he's done it here today as well over the weekend. So that 10% extra tariff is there. And it's all because of an anti-tariff television ad that was aired in the province of Ontario. That upset a lot of people out there, as Ronald Reagan was in that commercial. And the ad used the words of former President Ronald Reagan to criticize U.S. tariffs. That did not go over well for President Trump. He said he would end trade talks with Canada and did so. Now, the Ontario Premier, his name is Doug Ford. He is a brovacious guy, very aggressive guy. He's the one that took all the alcohol off the shelves immediately, anything American off the shelves, stopped using Starlink immediately. He's that premier. Well, Doug Ford said he would pull the ad after the weekend, and it did run Friday and Saturday as well, and during the World Series as well. The first 2 games of that World Series, of course, based out of Toronto up there in Canada. Canada's economy, so we have 10% tariff on them, not moving the market much today with that 10% tariff. The Chinese American story on tariffs is affecting the market a lot more than Canada is. But Canada's economy has been hit hard by these tariffs. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, he's been trying to work with Trump to lower those tariffs. More than 3/4 of Canadian exports go to the U.S., nearly $3.6 billion Canadian, which is about $2.7 billion U.S., worth of goods and services cross the border daily. And Canada is feeling the effects of the tariffs. They played a bold game there when they first started, but they're feeling the effects of it, not getting enough in from other countries to kind of bypass it and things to that effect. So Canada there with that ad running, 10% additional if they're trying to work through that. And also I saw President Trump earlier today as well. Of course, he's over in Asia. He did say that the talks with Canada, well, they're going to be paused for a while is how he phrased it. So no immediate talks here coming up for the Canadian side, but the trade deal between the United States and China, it's drawing closer, and it's been confirmed by both sides. Officials from the U.S. and China both said on Sunday that it is coming closer. And this is all as they reach the initial consensus for President Trump and Chinese President Xi to aim to finalize during that meeting they have coming up here in just a little bit of time. China's top trade negotiator came out and told reporters the 2 sides had reached a preliminary consensus. And then, of course, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent here in America, he said there was a very successful framework in place as of right now. So that is what's driving the market today. The Canadian one's just a blip there on the market, 10%. It's Canada. Nobody really cares. Nobody cares when it comes compared to the Chinese tariff side of things. And a lot of stocks are up today because of that hope here that these tariffs are going away on China, or at least we'll know what they are in terms of our framework side. And then interesting thing happening in California, specifically with an oil company on Texas going after California. And ExxonMobil Corporation is suing, actually, California over a pair of 2023 climate disclosure laws that the company says infringes upon its free speech rights. What they're basically saying is the California is forcing ExxonMobil to embrace the message that large companies are uniquely to blame for climate change. ExxonMobil says it has for years publicly disclosed its greenhouse gas emissions and even their climate-related business risks, but it fundamentally disagrees with California's new reporting requirements. The company would have to use frameworks that place disproportionate blame on large companies like ExxonMobil, and that's for the purpose of shaming such companies, is what they say in that lawsuit. So this is Senate Bill 8253 there in California. And when California puts these regulations on the stuff, that means gas prices go up for us here in Maricopa County since we get our gas from California at that point. Right, so large businesses will have to disclose a wide range of climate warning emissions, including both direct and indirect emissions. So things like cost of employee business travel and product transport. That's what they're going to have to declare. Business travel. How many times does your employees get on a plane? ExxonMobil does take issue with the methodology required by the state of California, and that would focus on the company's emissions worldwide and therefore fault businesses just for being large as opposed to being efficient. And that's what they say in their complaint out there. This rule doesn't go into effect until, I believe, 2026, 2027. But ExxonMobil getting ahead of this right now with this lawsuit in California, and something to keep our eyes on moving forward. And if you like chicken, you eat a lot of Hormel foods, specifically their ready-to-eat frozen chicken products, well, pay attention to this story here because Hormel Foods is recalling about 5 million pounds of that ready-to-eat chicken frozen products, folks. Why? Will it make you sick? Maybe. Maybe not, Will it, is it gross? Maybe, probably. Is it contaminated with pieces of metal? Yes. Yes, it is, folks. Yes, it is. Yes, this was a Saturday announcement from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food Safety and Inspection Service. So the company, Hormel, traced the contaminant to metal fragments from a conveyor belt used during production. The pieces varied in size. Check this out. Go get your 2 millimeter and 17 millimeter sockets, right? See how big these are. Yeah, that's what these are. They measure about 2 millimeter by 17 millimeter sizes of metal in this chicken. That's not very tiny, folks. The issue was discovered after Hormel received multiple complaints from food service customers, including hotels, restaurants, and other organizations that serve food to people. They reported finding metal in their frozen chicken breasts and hot thigh products, and they reported it to Hormel before they even knew about it. The effective items were sold under the Hormel's fire-raised label. They were distributed nationwide between February 10th and September 19th of 2025. So long a time frame there. You know what I wanted with chicken tonight? Metal pieces. Hormel's came through for me. Yeah. Hey, speaking of, let's get to some good food items out there, right? This Friday, Halloween is here. And trick-or-treaters, well, you might not find as much chocolate as you have in the past. You may find more fruity candy out there than chocolate. Why? Well, there's a lot of pricing issues. Last year, 52% of the total volume of Halloween candy sold in the U.S., well, it was made of chocolate. This is according to a research company called Circana. But in the 12 weeks ending October 5th, chocolate accounted for 44% of the Halloween candy sold in the United States. So obviously, you're selling, was that 8% less chocolate candies here so far going into this holiday rush? Yeah, you're going to get less chocolate this year, folks. Boo on that, but prices may be part of it or a big part of it. Global cocoa prices, as you know, watching us here at McCollum on Business, we tell you that cocoa prices, they've quadrupled between January of 23 and January of 25. Poor harvest down there in West Africa, Ghana, for instance, a lot of, famine, water, etc. issues. 70% of cocoa is produced there in West Africa. Chocolate candy is a lot more expensive, obviously, after cocoa supplies have been depleted. Chocolate Halloween candy in the U.S. costs an average of $8.02 per pound in the 12 weeks ahead of October 5th. Non-chocolate candy costs an average of $5.77 per pound. So you can see there's a big difference in the pricing. About $3 roughly, just under $3 difference there. So you're going to see less chocolate this year. You're going to see more of that fruity stuff out there instead. And here's the deal: $7.4 billion is the amount Americans spend on Halloween candy in 2024. 7.4 billion. Y'all buy a lot of candy. 18% of all candy sales last year was for this Halloween time frame. By the way, Halloween candy counts as sales for Halloween 2 weeks before the holiday is what we're looking at. That's how much gets bought in that 2 week time frame. 61% of U.S. consumers who bought candy for trick or treaters last year, and this is according to Hershey's. Hershey said 45% of consumers reported buying Halloween candy for themselves. There you go, folks. Yeah. You mainly buy it for yourself, let's be honest about it. And then you give some out, right, as well. So 61% actually bought Halloween candy. 45% of them bought it for themselves. I love it. 40.8%, like Christmas time, right? Present for you, 2 presents for me. So Hershey's has a market share of Halloween candy of 40.8%. I just can't believe these numbers. So it's making it the top performer in terms of companies and Halloween candy. Hershey said its Halloween assortments, which does include Reese's, Kit Kat, Almond Joy. Like, who eats Almond Joys? Well, they were the top seller last Halloween, and they've been the top seller last couple of years as well. And they're expecting a 4.9% growth in dollar sales of non-chocolate candy in the U.S. This year as well. So non-chocolate candy, they're expecting that 4.9% growth, which is interesting because the younger generations actually don't want the chocolate. They want the other types of candies out there. So it kind of works in their favors as well. So it's interesting to see with Halloween coming up this weekend. Of course, Friday night here, Halloween night. And anytime Halloween comes up on a weekend, watch out. Come on back, folks. It's McCollum on Business. We'll keep the show rolling. We come back, we got a bunch of local stories for you and another look at that market watch. Come on back, folks. And we're back here at McCollum on Business, and woo-wee, what a Monday. Lots of news out there. We're getting you updated here on what's happening around the market and all the stories. You just saw the commercial there for the main event. Of course, Monday's edition in the can. No Cardinals this weekend. They had a bye week. ASU's disaster of a game on Saturday night for a lot of reasons. We talked about that here on the show today as well. It's in the can. It's up at Robat TV. It's up, of course, on the free YouTube channel as well for On Demand, and then the podcast systems. All your favorite podcast systems is where you can find it. Do the search however you want to listen to it. Check it out as well. Like, subscribe if you would. Of course, here at Robat TV as well. This show, as soon as we wrap this up, then we'll put it up at Robat TV and, of course, the free YouTube channel as well. No podcast for this show, but The Real Matrix is out there. You just saw that commercial. The Angry Patriot, every Wednesday at noon, a new show post for you. We have 5 episodes out right now at Robat TV. Episode 6 comes out this Wednesday at noon as well. And then, of course, you can find that on the free YouTube page. And the YouTube page is just the shows that, me, Kobe, Riley's company, and Ethan's company all puts together here as well. You can find it there on that free YouTube page. Just search The Real Matrix, and it comes right up for you. And then, of course, that has a free podcast system as well. For those of you that want to just listen to the podcast version of it, well, check it out there as well. And then you got the pit stop. Folks, we are into one more race in this NASCAR season here, and it happens this weekend here at Phoenix Raceway over here. Championship 4 set in all the Truck Xfinity Cup Series. We'll have the Look Back show, which looks back at the racing at Martinsville over the weekend, sets up the Championship 4. We'll actually have that up tomorrow, Tuesday, for you here at Robat TV, of course, free YouTube page and podcast systems as well. Later in the week, we'll look ahead and set the stage for the championship races this weekend. Have my predictions on who wins the championships, and all that comes out Thursdays for you here at Robat TV free YouTube page, and there is a podcast there for that show as well. One more race to go, and then next week we'll have a look back, finish up the championship side, and then, of course, NASCAR and racing as a whole for the most part. I know F1 still continues a little bit. Racing as a whole kind of shuts down until next February out there, but check out the pit stop if you would. Appreciate that as we get into this Championship 4. And folks, let's get right back into the Market Watch. And like I said, the news of a China-U.S. agreement getting closer, making the rally here. The Canadian side isn't really affecting the market too much here. Dow Jones still up 215 points right now. S&P 500 up 70. NASDAQ's up 399 points right now. And then the Russell 2K, it's the only one down, and it's 18% down as of right now. And then Bitcoin, it's getting lower and lower as the day goes on, only up 840 points right now. But when we left last week, it was 111,000 range, 112,000. Well, it's up to 115,369 as of now. And don't forget, we're waiting for some Magnificent 7 stocks to announce their third quarter this week. Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft. We're waiting for that. Fed meeting happens this week as well. So we'll see on that. The expectation, another quarter point rate cut coming this week. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that as well and what that does with the markets as the week goes on. Stocks we're paying attention to right now. We're going to look at some gold stocks. Let's look first at Newmont as a gold stock out there. Gold prices are down today. As you can see, Newmont's 6.54% down right now, all because of that possible trade deal between the U.S. and China. So I can tell you the rare earth stocks are in the same position. They are down today as well because of that. They've obviously been rising heavily with the longer this trade discussion or trade issue with China continues. So Newport down 6.56% right now. The next one, Hecla Mining, is another gold stock. Also down today, 4.17%, based off of that truce idea coming up here between the two countries. As I said, rare earth stocks, same situation here today with the idea that the trade tariffs and everything are coming to an end. And then let's do what's become our almost daily look at Beyond Meat here. Last week, it pretty much tripled on the stock market. Well, we finished Friday. It was down about 9%. It's down another 8% here today, 8.01% as of right now as well. This that meme stock that was driven up had a 129% day, 140% day. Now it's been down 9% on Friday, 8% today. So we're getting a little bit of a sell-off. I did read a big article over the weekend where a lot of people are actually kind of bullish on Beyond Meat, other than it being a meme stock, just in general with the company. If you believe that, that's what people are talking about. And now let's get into some local stories that you may need to know. They might affect you a little bit, but back before the there was a lot of here with the Arizona Department of Economic Security, DES. They were going to launch a new unemployment benefit system. They were going to do that in September of 2024. Well, it's faced a lot of criticism from users and everything, and it was delayed after that. Now, according to a report on the agency by the Arizona Auditor General's office, DES began developing that new system. It's called Cactus, if you've heard of that. They started developing it in December of 2022. They plan to launch it in October of 2024, a year ago, right? Well, in that meeting last year, a state level regulatory committee that oversees new technology systems, well, a DES representative said the project was designed to upgrade the old 35-year unemployment system that they were using. But at that meeting, the Information Technology Authorization Committee is what they called. They did approve the agency's request to delay the launch of Cactus until September of this year. So a whole year delay for everything, right? They said a number of reasons was kind of what they used, but there were issues with data conversions and the amount of changes needed to bring the new IT system into compliance with state laws and regulations. So then it went live on September 7th of this year. The Cactus system did. Users instantly began complaining on social media about glitches, delayed payments, and other issues that they blamed on the new portal. A DES spokesman, well, they're not acknowledging those issues out there. And KJazz did a great job in interviews with this story and everything. So give KJazz a little bit of a follow here. But a DES spokesman instead of those acknowledging those issues, well, they claim Cactus is largely working as it should. They did acknowledge an overpayment error that the agency claims is affecting very limited number of claimants. Yeah. Even Governor Katie Hobbs, she repeatedly told KJazz News she has no knowledge of problems within the system. But there are obviously problems with that system. Politicians are denying it. Shocker. After being delayed for a year out there. So if you or anybody uses that system, just be aware of what you might be dealing with out there. And that's a lot of money here that Century loses every year. And they're not the only one. Copper theft is a real thing. It's especially when times get tough. People go to copper a little bit more to steal it, right? And CenturyLink has now said that they're going to partner with Silent Witness, of all things, because of rise of copper thefts in recent years. So CenturyLink said in 2024, they saw 80 incidents, and that number has surged to past 90 incidents of copper theft already this year. Most of the thefts have come from metal units storing copper wires that provide cell phone and internet service. CenturyLink offers services 16 states. CenturyLink is here in Arizona as well, but they said that the amount of money, right? We told you the incidents. They say it's been over $900,000 in losses. Yes, that's a lot of money in copper. So the thieves are cutting the wires in the metal units there, and they've had broader impacts than just the financial losses. Yeah, there was instances up in Washington. I think a hospital lost all communication abilities because they had stole all the copper wire out of the system. So it's more than just financial losses. But I did find it interesting. CenturyLink is kind of going with Silent Witness here to try to get some help on this. And copper theft is always a big thing, but it seems like it gets more notoriety when economies and the economic situation of people gets worse and worse and worse out there. And 10 years ago, we'll go back 10 years, the University of Arizona and Banner Health, they got together, they launched a partnership. They wanted to address healthcare needs here in the state of Arizona. And there's a new report out now that shows that partnership between the two entities, well, it's provided a huge economic benefit out there. This partnership supports tens of thousands of jobs. They say it's generated $59 billion in economic output as well. So the ABOR, right, the Arizona Board of Regents, they hosted an event in downtown Phoenix on Friday. They celebrated that 10-year collaboration between the two companies. Speakers were, all about from the three organizations. and the mayor of Phoenix also joined in. The event featured a video message from Governor Katie Hobbs, and she declared October 24th Academic Medicine Day here in Arizona. So since these partnerships got together, more than 1,900 physicians and healthcare professionals have graduated from the Arizona Colleges of Medicine in both Tucson and Phoenix. So over the last 10 years, thousands of Arizona nursing and primary pharmacy students, receive clinical training at banner locations each year while going to school. And then medical school enrollment, it increased nearly 40% since 2015. And the number of residency and fellowship positions, well, it increased also from 990 to more than 1,200. It's estimated that roughly 1,100 physicians and healthcare professionals actually have trained through the initiative and that they're practicing here in Arizona. They didn't go someplace else out there. Don't forget, Arizona State's doing their medical school here, also starting here in 2026. So economic impact as well as, getting our newest doctors out there between the partnership with those two entities. And now we don't talk a lot about Flagstaff here on the show. Just you got to give us more business stuff up there in Flagstaff. But there's a company called Catalyst Space Technologies out there, and we'll leave you with this story here today. They're based up there in Flagstaff. They've won a $30 million contract. Yeah, to raise the orbit of a space-based NASA observatory, and they need to do it next year because that space-based orbit machine, well, machine, how technical can I be? It can actually fall out of orbit, yeah, and fall into the Earth's atmosphere if it doesn't get raised up. NASA officials say they're in a rare race against time because the agency's Neil Gressel Swift Observatory and its three telescope systems studying gamma rays from space, well, it needs help to not fall down into this Earth's atmosphere and to get burned up. So the plan is being called Rendezvous Proximity Operations and Docking. It's what they're calling it. So next year, that Catalyst Space Technologies up in Flagstaff, $30 million deal here. They're going to launch a ship into outer space. They're basically going to approach NASA's observatory. The plan is, right, they're going to zero out their velocities and dock perfectly beside each other or to each other at that point. Then the Swift's Earth orbit, what's happening is it's decaying. So you need to raise it up. So Catalyst mission will be to reboost its orbit and keep it sustained for more years of research at that point. So here's the interesting thing about this story. One, Flagstaff company, big money there. But also, it is very rare to turn a program like this and get it done in just months. It takes years for funding, et cetera, to plan these types of products out there. And they're doing it in a matter of months here coming up. They've done it in a matter of months there. And it's because NASA's kind of changed their look at how to do these things. Instead of the big companies, they go to small businesses now. They say, though, $30 million is just a fraction of what the rescue could actually cost. It's just they start with that deal out there. Why are they able to move so quick in this story? Well, NASA is using a small business program to move quickly to get up there and save this rescue. If they went the old traditional way, big companies bidding, big companies arguing it out, big companies taking their time to get up there. And so they're using the small business capabilities that they now have. And if this mission succeeds, NASA says this would be the first time a commercial robotic spacecraft will capture a government satellite that is uncrewed. Never designed to be serviced in space, just always supposed to run on its own. And so this could be monumental for NASA as well. So NASA and Catalyst, they're Catalyst is a participant in NASA's Small Business Innovation Research Program. It's managed by NASA's Space Technology Mission Directorate. Big words, and I'm tripping over them. Why am I even trying to say them, right? The NASA does say that that allowed NASA, this small business initiative, to pursue an orbit boost on Swift on a shorter development timeline, and by years shorter, by the way, not just a few months on that side. So small Flagstaff, or at least a Flagstaff company out there, getting some big notoriety and big contracts here to help out NASA up there in space. And folks, when we come back tomorrow on Tuesday's edition of McCollum on Business, well, I won't use as many big words and trip over them. But we'll look at the market, Fed information, Magnificent Seven stocks reporting. Going to be a busy week here. Of course, national and local stories. Come back and join us, would you? We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. It's McCollum on Business.